Hello, and welcome back to What We Pod in the Shadows, where we are currently discussing the first season of What We Do in the Shadows. I'm Raven.
And I'm Alison.
Today we're going to be discussing the episode Manhattan Nightclub.
Okay, so the episode starts out with Jenna's friend returning to their dorm room with some medicine. It kind of sounded like some NyQuil, but Jenna appears to be dead. There are flies on her face. I think they were even in her eyes.
Yes.
So, the roommate freaks out and calls 911, but Jenna ends up popping up while being wheeled into an ambulance, and the EMT says he checked her vitals 3 times, so they thought she was dead. She scurries back inside and says she is fine. Then we move on to Guillermo. Guillermo reveals his disappointment at not being made a vampire, but he says he must learn patience and that Nandor has been really good to him. So we see a little clip of Nandor holding Guillermo aloft, so he appears to be flying in a mirror. Laszlo shows Nadja on a map where they have total dominion, which turns out to just be 5 houses over 2 streets. They want to team up with Simon the Devious, who came over to America with them on the same boat.
It seemed like Simon and Nadja had a very playful relationship. Laszlo doesn't seem to like him that much, but says he has a great nightclub, the Sassy Cat in Manhattan. Laszlo and Nadja say that you need to wear a cape at Simon's club because otherwise you'll look like a tart. Their words, not mine. Laszlo digs up his cursed witch's skin hat. It is hideous, and apparently Simon is very jealous of the hat. Nadja has tried to throw it out many times, but it keeps crawling back. Literally. Their new familiar touches the hat, and a bookcase falls on top of him, and he dies. Nadja insists it's because of the curse, but Laszlo won't hear of it, even when the floor collapses underneath him and he lands, I believe, in Colin's room. And then Colin has heard about them going to the club and wants to tag along. Guillermo rows Nandor and Colin across the water to Manhattan. Meanwhile, Nadja and Laszlo are stuck in traffic, which Nadja says is because of the cursed hat.
Okay, I think I was gonna go back here. So, Simon, they said, was only 107, and he was some sort of prodigy. So when they got to America, he quickly became the king of the Manhattan vamps. But Laszlo keeps calling it Mannahatta. So it might have been what it was called then. It almost sounds like possibly a Native American name.
Yeah, it probably is.
I'm guessing that's why he's wearing a yellow poncho, but Colin's cape is a fluorescent yellow poncho. So, he really does stand out when they get to the club. Nandor is nervous because normally he would slaughter his neighbor in battle, but he is ready to make a change and a friend. At the club, it is dark, and Colin remarks that everyone looks like Billy Idol, and they notice no one else is wearing a cape. They try to mingle while waiting for Nadja and Laszlo. Guillermo goes to look for the bathroom. Laszlo gets his cape stuck in the taxi door and is dragged, much to Nadja's frustration. Guillermo finds the familiar room, which is a shitty storage room, and they are only given buckets to use the bathroom in. One of the familiars is a cat.
Yeah, and Nandor really wanted to mingle by himself, but then Colin says he has an upset stomach and wants to stick with him. So then Nandor is chatting with this attractive vampire woman, and then he's interrupted by Colin, who wants to tell them about the history of the building. And apparently it used to be they used to make horseshoes there, and Colin called it basically Nike for horses.
Yeah.
Nandor is annoyed, and he tells Colin to stop interrupting him, but when he turns around, the vampire woman he was talking to is gone. Nadja and Laszlo finally arrive at the club. Guillermo tells the other familiars that he's been one for 10 years, and one of them, Colby, seems shocked by this. Colby's vampire masters appear and make him leave. They are 2 children, and Colby has to pretend to be their dad. And then we cut to Simon the Devious. He's played by Nick Kroll. He's firing off a fiery arrow into the crowd, but he runs so fast he catches it before it can hit anyone. Simon sees Nadja and greets her excitedly, They almost certainly used to have a thing together. Simon asks how she's been, if she still talks to Nandor and Laszlo, and she says they're in the club right now, too. Guillermo is confronted by a very Buffy the Vampire Slayer-ass vampire who wants to eat him. Nandor shows up and does a piss-poor job of defending Guillermo, almost letting the guy eat him. This upsets Guillermo, and he leaves the club. The vampire calls over Nandor to see Simon. Laszlo's hat is bleeding.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising Nandor wasn't a little more, at least territorial with Guillermo. I don't know if he was scared of the other guy. Like, he's Nandor the Conqueror, so I don't understand.
I don't understand.
And especially with Guillermo having been with him for 10 years. It's not like it was like a new familiar that he barely knew.
He should be his special little buddy at this point, basically.
And I just kind of wanted to point out, like, the familiar room. That the familiar room, like, you know, it sort of seemed like it was supposed to be like I think Guillermo thought it was going to be like a bougie place for them to wait. And it just kind of showed that being a familiar just universally sucks for everyone.
Yeah, it was basically just a fucking abandoned storage closet.
I'm not even sure, like, they probably should have just stayed home.
Yeah.
Laszlo and Nandor are let in to see Simon, and he says he thought Nadja was single from the way she was acting, and that they haven't all seen each other since the bicentennial in 1976. Simon introduces a bunch of vamps. Like, it was a little nuts how many people he introduced. It also kind of showed how small their group was in comparison. Laszlo says that they like to keep things slim with their crew of 3 and ignore Colin when he tries to get into I guess it was like a VIP area.
Yeah.
Simon realizes they aren't just there to socialize, so they reveal that they would like to join forces with Simon. Simon wants to start negotiations by taking Laszlo's hat and threatens to have one of his crew cut off Laszlo's head when he refuses to give it.
So they also told him that the Baron was visiting with him, and he seemed really surprised by that. Laszlo reluctantly gives him the hat to avoid being murdered, and then Simon kicks them out of the club because he only wanted them there to get the stupid hat. Simon gloats about getting the hat and decides to fire off another flaming arrow, which blows up the club. Laszlo finally admits that the hat might be cursed. The vamps turn into bats and fly away, leaving poor Colin behind. They catch up with Guillermo, and he's still mad that Nandor almost got him eaten, so Nandor decides to apologize by taking Guillermo for a flight. Guillermo says it's the best night of his life, but then shortly after, Nandor accidentally drops him, and he falls on top of, I believe, an abandoned food truck. They visit Guillermo in the hospital, and he's pretty banged up. Nandor says that Guillermo is his friend, but is embarrassed by the sentiment and erases his memory. Or Guillermo. Laszlo finds his hat at the hospital, and also Simon the Devious and some of his crew are there, I think. And that's where he finds the hat. But each time Laszlo tries to put the hat on, Guillermo flatlines, so he stops.
Yeah, poor Guillermo. I think his arm was in a sling, he had a neck brace, and it looked like a broken leg.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to include that the stupid hat included the witch's asshole.
Yeah.
And Simon could feel it's like on the back of his head or whatever.
God, I forgot about that part. That was so gross.
I think Laszlo at one point says that that it is alive somehow because like it was bleeding.
Yeah.
It's just gross. I'm kind of mad. Like, so Nandor almost made a connection with another vampire.
Right.
In Colin's, like, there's a time and a place. His energy sucking shouldn't come at a price of, like, the people in his house.
Yes.
So, like, he should have, like, been in different parts of the room and not messing that up. Because, you know, Simon seems like a big jerk. And, like, maybe they could have teamed up with, like, a more decent group.
Yeah. But so he had to be like, my tummy hurts, Nandor. I'm gonna stick with you.
I thought it was kind of weird that the vamps were in the hospital because they're not human. And I'm assuming that was Simon was all wrapped up in bandages. I mean, I guess they'll probably heal somewhat quickly.
Yeah.
And I do believe we do see Simon, and I know we definitely see the stupid hat again.
Yes.
I'm not really sure what else to say about or like what to think about. I'm not sure what the next episode is called, but what to think about could be coming next. I don't know if they try to make alliances with other groups. I'm assuming, like, we started out the episode with Jenna, so probably something will happen with her.
Yeah.
Because at that point, she was still able to be in daylight. She did quickly scurry inside, but
yeah, she wasn't like,
she didn't start burning or anything like that. So
yeah. So the next episode is called Animal Control. I don't remember what that one entails.
Okay,
I just wrote down like the next 3 episode titles. So.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, there's just like a couple of factors there. I mean, it probably was good that like Laszlo bringing the hat wasn't great, but I do think Simon was like a turd. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I'm just wondering if the hat wasn't involved though, would he have? I just feel like he didn't like them. Except maybe Naja, or he didn't like Laszlo, maybe. So I'm just not sure whether he would have even made an alliance with him or not, or if they could have even trusted such an alliance, because he just seemed like a snake. Like,
yeah.
And I mean, they hadn't seen him since 1976. Like, I understand, like time goes really fast for them, but I mean, he kind of knew what they were up to. So it's like, if they didn't stay friendly with him, I'm just wondering if something did occur. I know they used to go to his club. Was there some sort of rift? I don't think they really said, but I'm assuming something must have occurred.
Yeah.
Why they didn't hang out with him anymore.
Yeah, because they almost made it seem like they were there like all the time, but then they've been gone so long that they didn't even realize that no one wears capes anymore.
I would think that kind of would have been obvious, but
yeah.
Maybe they should have. I don't know if they could have seen him during office hours or something, like not during club times, and just like, or called him up. I don't know if they have a telephone, like, hey, the Baron is staying with us. Like, we'd really like to talk with you because he's wanting us to continue conquering, and you're the nearest big group. We'd like to join up. Like, not that they kind of almost came there like,
I'm not sure what,
not begging exactly, but you know what I mean. Like it sort of wasn't a good look on them.
Yeah,
they were definitely the smaller guy in the situation because they didn't have very many members and hadn't conquered much and hadn't really accomplished much.
Yeah,
maybe they could have come with a gift besides the stupid hat. He should have left the hat at home, knowing that it was just dumb to come with the hat and then not wanting to give up the hat.
Yeah, he just wanted to flaunt the hat. Like, look at me, I have something you can't have, Simon.
So maybe there could have been something else that they knew Simon liked that they could have presented to. Like, I'm not sure. Like, they just didn't really have a good plan. I mean, they were even, like, separated and stuff. Like,
yeah. Yeah, so I think we're going to end our discussion there. Thank you so much for listening to the pod. If you haven't already, follow or subscribe and leave us a review, especially if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I know you can leave starred reviews there, and also I think on Spotify you can leave comments on individual episodes. We would love to hear what you're thinking about the show, the episode we just talked about, and of course we'd love to hear what you think about the pod in general. We would love to get some feedback.
We also have another podcast, Mojo Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, where we are discussing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and also the classic Powerpuff Girls show. Right now, I think we're finishing up the Powerpuff Girls season 2.
Yeah, we're just about to record that episode.
And then we will be moving back over to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yes.
But that one we have lots of episodes already uploaded, so you can binge those if you would like. And
yeah, we have almost like 3 times as many episodes of Mojo Jojo's Bizarre Adventure as we have of what we call The Shadows. So yeah, if you've been enjoying listening to us talk about vampires on here, maybe you'd like to hear us talk about vampires occasionally on there. If you're a JoJo fan, I don't know that there's any vampires in the Powerpuff Girls, however. But yeah, just thank you again for the listen. Until next time, remember, you're dead and out of this world. Goodbye.
Goodbye.